Hi, and welcome to College Planning Untangled, where we tell it like it is on planning for college so that our families can simplify this whole process. I'm Kristin Clark. I'm a career exploration coach for 16 to 26-year-olds, and I'm here with Bobby Hood, our SAT and ACT specialist. Bobby, how are you doing?
Just great. Glad to be here. It's the start of a new year, and it's time to really start talking straight about how college planning works, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And two of the things that we wanted to share today are a couple facts that nobody's telling you when you're planning for college with your senior and juniors. Let's not leave them out, but our seniors are who we really want to talk to today, the parents of seniors, because nobody is telling you some things that you need to know, because you've got to start having some conversations with your kiddo right now to get them prepared.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just, I think everybody talks and talks and talks about college, and they're all just sort of saying things back to each other. But there are some things that people just don't think about, and that's what we need to really start addressing.
Yeah. Here's the first sobering fact, and that is 30% of kids that go to college are not going to make it to their sophomore year.
It's always surprising every time I hear that statistic, but absolutely.
I know. And I hate that statistic, right? 30%. And it's funny, Bobby, when you say it that way, I think parents think, oh, 30%, that's not that big of a number.
Right.
But it's like 30%. 1 out of 3 kids, almost 1 out of 3 kids is going to be affected by this. And I'll tell you, when I get the phone call from a parent where they're like, oh my gosh, my kid just called me from college, they're going to drop out. And they talk about the fear, the anxiety, just the mental and physical things that are happening to not only the kid, but the parents. You go, okay, how do we get ahead of this?
Yeah. Absolutely.
And the facts are, guys, the way you get ahead of it is, number one, getting really clear in your mind if you think your kid's ready. Having conversations with them to see if they think they're ready. And being real open and honest about, what college is going to be. That first year is uncomfortable, which we've talked about. So really, it comes down to, Bobby, talking.
Yes. And I think that's the thing.
In high school, most of the counselors, most of the teachers, everybody's talking about, here's how you get in, here's how you get in, here's how you get in. And nobody's talking about, why are you going? And that's the conversation you need to have.
Absolutely. And I think that's the thing that we've always preached, but it needs to be said very directly is, a lot of parents just make this assumption. If you both went to college, then you just assume that your kid's going to go to college, and you tell them they're going to go to college, but you never ask them,
do you want to go to college?
And what do you want to major in stuff? And you tell them that they're going to go become a doctor, that they're going to go become a lawyer, that they're going to go to college no matter what. And then they never feel like they have a choice. And so then the pressure is going to build and build and build. And during that freshman year, they're going to lose their minds, and they're going to, and they're going to drop out. They're going to come home. They're, take a year off, whatever. The pressure is going to be too much for them because you never talked to them about it and gave them the choice.
Yes. And making it okay if college isn't the answer, because there's a lot of ways to be successful if you don't go to college. So, just making this normal.
Absolutely. And I think that's the thing, is that the culture in a lot of families is that it's a failure if you don't go, right? And that's the thing to get away from, is that it's not. There are different choices. There are different pathways. And it's not a failure. It's just a different pathway. And you want the pathway that's right for your kid. And not everyone should go, or not everyone should go immediately the first year they're out of high school. Maybe there are other things they need to do. Maybe they should look at an associate's degree. Maybe they should look at, working for a couple of years before. There are all sorts of things you can do.
And apprenticeship, certifications, there's so many options. Okay. The second fact that I want to make sure that we bring up is that the 5.5 year graduation rate.
Right.
On average, and parents seem to know this fact when I ask, when I'm out speaking to parents, but it's taken the kids 5.5 years to get through college. And parents, I don't know if you're like me, I always say that I'm frugal, but I sure as hell don't want to pay another 37% on top of, how I've scrimped and saved to pay for my kids' college. So, and the reason why a lot of that's happening is this same issue. We're not having conversations about why are you going? What are you trying to get accomplished? So they're tripping and falling and trying to figure it out as they're building that plane and going to college, and it's taking them longer. Those are the stone cold hard facts. That's why it's taking them 5.5 years.
Absolutely. And I mean, and you get these, estimates of what college is going to cost, and you plan based on that and all that. And it's based on 4 years. And then suddenly your kid's changing their major. They're not sure what they're going to do. They haven't planned correctly. They have a semester where they don't do that well. Suddenly it takes 5.5 years. And suddenly, your cost has gone up so much and you haven't planned for that. And you need to realize that what is the percentage of students that end up taking more than 4 years? It's another enormous percentage, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, only 40% of students graduate in 4 years.
Yep.
So if the average is 5.5, Bobby, do the math on that. You're smarter than me on that.
Yeah, it's so much, right? And so that's the thing is, I mean, so there are all these myths that everyone goes and that, and that you get out in 4 years and that, like, all that. That's not how it works on average. And so the solution to that is students need to talk to their parents. You need to talk to them about their major, figure out what's the right thing for them. And if you're having trouble doing that, because it is hard to talk to your kids about this, they need to meet with you and start talking about, selecting a major, finding out what their skills and strengths are, because that will save everyone so much heartache and time in the long run. And that's why everybody needs to know these two things. Those are the first two things you need to start with is should they be going, and do they know what they're doing and why they're going there? Because if you don't, you're going to end up either dropping out or you're going to end up taking 5.5 years.
Absolutely. Have the conversations. Period.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we can continue this topic and other topics like that, but it really is the hard truths that people aren't thinking about. It's not fun to hear, but it's what you need to start thinking about.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I will talk to you next week, Bobby.
Okay. See you.